Deep in the Norfolk Broads sits a relic of a bygone age, surrounded by haunting tales of ghostly monks, phantom soldiers marching in procession throughout the marshes, and legends of dragons. This is St Bennets Abbey. The abbey's origins can be found in the 9th century, where a group of hermits, led by a man named Sunman, laid the foundations of a monastery before his death at the hands of the invading Danes. Despite these bloody beginnings, by the 10th century King Canute had bestowed the land to a monk named Wulfric, along with 7 of his followers, where they remained, leading to the mud and timber huts being replaced by a stone church, and thereafter the abbey grew in both size and wealth over the next 100 years.
By 1066, the abbey had obtained an unimaginable amount of wealth and influence over much of the kingdom, with even ties to the abbey in Bury St Edmunds, where we investigated a number of years ago. But due to its huge amount of power and wealth, it became a prime target for attacks, and so developed a number of fortifications, something that would play a key role when this time of relative peace came to an abrupt end.
The Norman invasion of 1066 took Britain by storm, with even the strongest fortifications falling to the Normans' more advanced weaponry and military strategy. St Bennets Abbey, however, remained unpenetrable, holding a siege against William the Conqueror's soldiers for over 4 months, even having enough food and supplies to survive for up to a year. The legend goes that upon giving up, William sent forth a soldier with a white flag, calling a truce, where he gave a note to the janitor monk, requesting his presence before the general with the promise of his safety. The monk, named Brother Veritas, responded to the abbot's demands and said that they would not surrender under any conditions. Enraged, the general vowed to slay every last monk, if and when he penetrated the abbey, unless they were granted access by the following night, in which case all would be spared the sword. Brother Veritas, upon hearing this, saw an opportunity. In a secret meeting with the general, he proposed an ultimatum, whereby he would leave the gatehouse open, allowing the soldiers in, on the condition that the general made him abbot after the monastery. The general readily agreed, and so the following day the abbey was taken by William's soldiers due to the treachery of Veritas. Soldiers stormed the chapel as monks and clergy watched on from the gallery as Veritas was brought in with the general, a cope placed over his shoulders and an abbot's mitre on his head before being handed a crozier. As promised, Veritas had indeed been made abbot of the monastery. However, in a twist of fate, and to everyone's surprise, the newly crowned abbot was suddenly dragged away, a noose placed around his head, and was hung from the gatehouse. It would seem that even the ruthless invaders wished to have no association with a traitor. Today, a number of travellers to this remote region have found themselves witness to a ghostly reenactment of Veritas's final moments, hearing him screaming, begging for mercy as he is dragged to the gatehouse and hung where the scene fades away. There were a number of retellings of this particular tale in the early 19th century, including a mention in 1901's Highways and Byways in East Anglia, which speaks of a Ludden wherryman who saw the terrifying events unfold one night on his way home from work, and in his panic became stuck in the marshes, eventually drowning in the River Bure. After the Norman conquest, the abbey remained a strong and powerful site of Catholic worship, surviving attacks during the Peasants' Revolt in the 12th century, right up until the dissolution of the monasteries during the reign of King Henry VIII. Curiously though, it was the only monastic site in the country not officially dissolved, but within a matter of years the site was abandoned anyway, likely due to the monks no longer being able to practice their Catholic faith. In the early 18th century, much of the marshland was subject to draining, and so a mill was constructed on the site of the abbey to assist with this. The remains of a later 19th century one can be seen here today, which required the top floor of the gatehouse to be removed to accommodate the sails. By the mid-1800s, however, this was also abandoned, and the site crumbled to ruin, a scenic and somewhat haunting landmark for travellers and wherrymen over the last 200 years.
There's a common theme with paranormal investigators that alterations to old structures can release paranormal activity. Now, I've certainly witnessed this a few times with home investigations. People have started renovation work and all of a sudden there's a big burst of paranormal activity. Now some people think this is the alteration or demolition of parts of the building releases a big burst of energy and this manifests itself in a haunting. But a little analogy I came up with the other day is that could it be, if you imagine a small stream, the water is running nice and calmly down the stream, and we imagine that's the flow of energy in a building, especially a monastic site, which theoretically there should be a lot of energy there. And could it be that, for example, you throw a rock into the stream, the water then has to go around that rock? Could it be the same if we take that example over to a haunting? A new structure is built and the flow of energy has to move around it, and that disrupts it, and that creates some kind of a haunting. Don't know for a fact, but I wonder if this construction of the windmill right in the gatehouse could potentially tie into some of the ghost sightings here.
Although not related to ghosts, another strange legend attached to the abbey is that of the Ludham dragon. The true origins of the fable are unknown, but the story goes that a dragon once terrorised the villagers of nearby Ludham, where it made its underground lair. The beast would only emerge after sunset, and so whenever it crawled back into its den at dawn, a large boulder was placed at the entrance in a bid to keep it at bay. However, every night come sundown, the boulder was pushed aside, leaving the creature to wreak havoc on the village. One night, a man decided to place the boulder over the lair whilst the dragon was out, and unable to return, the dragon was chased off into the marshes and along the causeway towards the ruins of St Bennets Abbey. It thrashed around in anger before digging in the dirt and uncovering the monastery's old underground vaults under the gatehouse, where it crawled in, and a group of brave villagers were swift in filling the hole. The dragon was never to be seen again.
Something really interesting about the legend of the dragon here is that if we come into the gatehouse in the area that's enclosed in the old windmill, you can see on the old archway there appears to be a depiction of a dragon-like creature. Now, a lot of people have said that this was probably the depiction of a lion, but I can certainly see the resemblance to some kind of a dragon. And it does seem strange that the legend of the dragon here, and there is something that resembles it very close by. Whether there's a tie there, I mean, I certainly think it's possible that maybe at some point in history, having learned of the legend of the dragon, that someone's come and altered the carving slightly so it looks a bit more dragon-like. But it is definitely strange, and it certainly enforces there's a little bit more to this legend than initially meets the eye.
As well as the legend of the Shrieking Monk and the Ludham Dragon, there has also been numerous sightings of a monk-like figure walking along the causeway over the centuries. The sound of marching soldiers has also been known to break the silence of this desolate landscape.
Tell you what, actually, so if we're in here and that football does fall down from up there.
Yeah, no, now the wind's died off.
Yeah.
There's literally no reason.
Explain that for a minute.
Well, Luke and Perry sort of finished from earlier on, if you want. So in here, earlier on, when we first got here, there was a football that it was just in here, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was just in here on the floor.
There was a football here, and we just, you and Sophie were first having a bit of a football match around here, which I filmed. Just like the monks. And then we decided to try and kick the football up into that bit, and kicked it up and landed up on that ledge up there. And everyone outside and we were filming for a bit, and about 10 minutes later I heard boom inside here, covering it had fallen off. But we're thinking, well, it was a lot windier earlier on. It was like all the little plants and stuff up there were moving about, like that wind tunnel, what was going on up there. That was all going on, so it makes sense as to why it would have suddenly come off the top. Now the wind's completely died down.
And it's been up there the whole day as well.
Yeah.
And it's been up there, yeah, a long time. So if that was to come down, now, that would really not make much sense.
Good evening, St Bennets Abbey. We've come here, we was here a little bit earlier, walking around, you might have seen us. We're having a look at what remains of the Abbey here today. And we've come here, I know there's probably a lot of people that have visited here, trying to communicate with you and talk to you. And we've come here today for that, to try and see who's here, learn why you may be here in these ruins, and to make some kind of contact. We've already set up a few contraptions around here. We've got some out there in the further away archway. If you can walk in between those, they might set off, and that will alert us to you being here. We have this one on here on the floor with a red light. If you can come and move around this, it's got a little metal rod. So if you can interact with anything here, if you can show yourself to us, let us hear you, anything at all, that would be fantastic at some point tonight.
My name's Sophie. This is James and Luke.
I heard walking on the ground out there.
In the courtyard bit there.
Yeah, out there. I thought it might actually be good people on the ground. No voices.
Is there someone out there?
Could have been the wind, was it actually?
Oh, point to mention actually, while we were here earlier, me and Sophie were doing a little bit of filming, and the dust kicks up really, like in big clouds here. So that might be some of the more sort of wispy sightings.
Yeah, like I was saying, as far as actual hot spots for where stuff could happen, I think that area there, especially if that's supposed to be where the monk got hung.
Yeah, it was either this archway or the one just out there. I've got a funny feeling it's this one, I don't know why. Were you killed here? Were you one of the monks that was killed? When King William invaded? William the Conqueror?
What's a famous saying or something from that era? You know, like, up the Reds, but not.
I don't know. That's a fair point though, because the language was completely different then, so...
Yeah, well, you think there's that picture, when I was looking at pictures of here, there's like an etching or a drawing of here, and the language is all in like really old.
Yeah, so what we're talking now, no one from that area would have any idea what we're saying, but it's the best we've got.
I mean, surely they'd understand hello.
Well, I don't know, it's changed completely, like you couldn't recognise anything from probably before 1500. It's like a completely different language.
I think you mentioned before about when we're trying to communicate with things, it might even be a case that it's less of what the words actually are and more of the actual...
Like the intent.
Itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if there's some kind of psychic link with it, the intent will be put across.
So I'm sure there's been times when people were saying before, like, communicating to ghosts to speak different languages and speak to in English and getting back foreign responses to the English.
Veritas, are you here? The wind started whistling through then.
Yeah. It's kind of strange. It's like while we're in here, I feel much more drawn to looking out there.
Do you want to go out there then?
I don't know if that's just because of the lighting conditions out there. It's playing tricks on my eyes more than in here. But I haven't had any like the goosebumps go up your back or anything, which you usually have if there's stuff if a location's got sort of.
Yeah, I've not had any kind of like big feelings or anything. A lot of people say they've seen monks at this monastery. Monks seen in the 21st century. Now I know that there haven't been monks here for a long time. So maybe you're from a different period. We're in 2022 now. Can you tell us what year you're from? Yeah, the wind's... It's weird now, it's just coming in big gusts. Veritas the traitor, are you here? Is the story true about you sacrificing all of your brothers and all of the clergy so you could be made bishop? That's the story that's told today.
I just heard some voice.
I heard that.
I heard something.
I don't know, they could be from the boats.
I think it might be. I don't know what it is. I'm trying to tell you.
Were you hung from one of the archways?
After 40 minutes with nothing substantial happening, James decided to go and get some candles from our equipment bags outside the gatehouse, which is when we believed we captured something strange.
That feels like it would maybe be a sort of
Oh,
thing.
might have some in the blue bag if you have a look.
Fucking fly just flew up right close to my ear.
In the front pocket of the blue bag there might be.
Out here.
Yeah, I might have taken them out. Have a look in a couple of the pockets. Oh, that's weird.
Yeah.
I've seen two lights flashing on my camera screen. Move around again. About 13:45 was the time. Just above that archway of the windmill.
Up here.
No, the bit further through.
Up here. Because you know what? I was looking up there because I don't know what that is, but it's really scary. I think it's like the hole in the window.
No, this was through there, where the entrance to the actual windmill is.
Oh.
Just above that, I just saw two lights flash.
I just clocked so the window is there and that light is shining through that window. So I've clocked it down on what it is. I thought it was a person.
Or I must have taken them out. You're
I
right.
walked in and there was like, I thought the antenna for that was all the way up here.
Oh my god.
There was like a black wire. It was like here.
That, you are not going to believe this, mate. That is the exact spot I just saw two white lights flash on my camera.
Really?
It was,
Right here.
they flashed. Oh, I can't see it, it's in the dark. They must have been, I reckon, probably about here
Yeah.
and here.
Yeah, I came in and literally like I stopped because I thought I was about to walk into like that, like the antenna was really tall. I saw it like blocking out the
Yeah.
that camera right here.
Is there anybody here? Did we see you?
Only thing I could think that might have been was maybe if it was like a hanging the rope from it.
Yeah,
extended
it's just
from
weird.
the
That's the exact spot I just saw the two lights. So if you moved around the same as you were before, and they didn't appear again. I'll show you one here.
Yeah. That's weird.
There,
That, yeah.
there,
And there.
there and there.
That's not even dust. That's like a period.
I didn't see that first one.
Is there anything there
Because
when I
that's
walked
why you
in?
made me move again.
Fuck me, that's weird, isn't it?
Was there anything there when I walked in as well?
Have a look.
They look really weird. That doesn't even look like normal. How you get like dust trail stuff.
Well, because I was moving, but it wasn't.
Whoosh.
No.
And then flash, and then flash.
Do you know what? Was it a reflection of my handbag? Look, I've got silver. Could it have been that?
Be. We'll try again.
I
in a
don't know
minute.
how to.
Did it?
Wait for you to come back in. I was sat here, exactly the same spot.
I probably came to about here,
Yeah.
and I think I moved a little bit.
No.
Because that's the only thing I could think, because there's something reflected off of my handbag.
Yeah.
I think you were.
Do you want to take this one?
Were you to the left? Did it what?
Actually, don't worry. Right, just move around as much as you can. You can
Does
see a
that-
light, you can see a solid reflection, but it's not like that.
That's a big light as well. It's not like a little.
That's probably my IR.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is the IR. Give you a bag of jingle. No.
No?
But you weren't doing that anyway at the time.
No, but just for argument's sake.
Yeah.
It wasn't. It was literally on my.
That's strange.
It's the only thing
That was weird.
It turns out that Sophie was 100% correct, that what we had recorded was indeed a reflection from the zip on her bag, which can clearly be seen on playback on a larger screen than the small camera LCD one we were using at the time. Later on in the night we decided to split up, with myself going over to the former altar, now marked with a large wooden cross, Sophie remaining in the windmill and James investigating the courtyard outside the gatehouse. Unfortunately, this tactic also proved unfruitful, and after a few hours we decided to end the investigation.